Hello, welcome to the Hip Hop Mind. My name is Sharon Nicky. I am the host and creator of the Hip Hop Mind. Today we're going to talk about three women that have positively impacted me. They are Harriet Tubman, Billie Holiday, and Cardi B. I chose these three women specifically because they are creators of American culture and they have moved this country in ways that it was not ready for. Harriet Tubman was born in 1822. She was born enslaved. And they did not know, we do not know the exact date of her birth because at the time they didn't record the births of enslaved people. But what we do know about Harriet Tubman that's so impactful is that she was and is the definition of radical courage. In simpler terms, she was a brave motherfucker. She led hundreds of enslaved people out of slavery. She was able to navigate in the dark, literally in the dark, moving people without any use of any real technology, just understanding landscapes, understanding human behavior specifically for the slaveholders wanting to keep people enslaved. She was amazing. She is braver than any person that I've ever read about in any history book. She was brave. And another thing that I learned about Harriet, I live here in Newark, and there is a monument to Harriet Tubman, and there's also a street named after her. It's called Harriet Tubman Way, and she was a Civil War strategist. She is the first American woman that led a military raid during the Civil War with the Confederate Army. You talk about a racist time in this country, but she led them because when you think about Harriet Tubman's ability to move enslaved people that were not even documented, but they weren't even recognized as people, but she moved hundreds of them through enemy lines. So it's really only fair that she gets to participate in military strategy because she had all of the skills of military leaders that were trained. She innately knew how to move troops, how to gather intelligence, how to move in silence, how to understand the enemy, understanding when they move. She was brilliant. She could have been a US president because if you look up in the Constitution the definition of an American president, they talked about a person that knew how to move military troops, how to lead people in crisis situations. She did all of that and more. So she definitely has inspired me. That monument of her in Newark, it is amazing. It's where I learned about her military history. And personally, the way Miss Tubman has inspired me because the summer of this year, I faced eviction from my apartment. I got behind on my rent and my landlord took me to court. And I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. I was asking for help for rental assistance. I was on SNAP. I received a little money from welfare, and I was looking for a job. And there were a lot of days where I just got no, no, no. And one day I was walking past the park and I saw the Harriet Tubman monument, and I went over and I actually prayed to that monument of Miss Tubman, and I asked Miss Tubman to please give me the same courage that she had, even though I wasn't facing death, but I was facing a great fear, and that was to be without a home. And I prayed to that monument every time I passed it. And somehow I did get her courage. I had help like she did. I had friends that gave me money when they heard about what I was going through, when I asked for financial assistance. I also am a realtor, so I had a couple of real estate transactions close right when I needed it. And I found a job and I was able to pull myself together. And I really believe that a strong part of that was praying to that monument of Harriet Tubman, because she was courageous when it was very easy to be afraid. And then I want to talk about Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday was born she was born on April 7th, 1915. And it was definitely not a great time to be a Black woman in this country, and especially a singer. And her voice was beautifully imperfect. She didn't sing songs or notes. She sung feelings. Her voice was so raw. And a lot of that came from her being sexually assaulted as a young girl. Like, she was sexually assaulted before she even got her period. She grew up in poverty. She worked in prostitution just to survive. And then she started singing in the nightclubs. She didn't have any formal training. There was no school training. She was just a young woman that was just trying to survive. But somehow her voice resonated with people, because we all understand struggle and how getting through the day just needs to, sometimes you can hear that in a person's voice. That's the magic actually about a singer, is they know how to make an emotion. They can put an emotion into words, and Billie Holiday did that beautifully. Her song Strange Fruit is the first time an artist used their voice against racism. She is, in fact, the first artistic activist. Strange Fruit is about the hanging of Black people. And there was a time in this country where that was normal. It wasn't abnormal. But it wasn't until Billie Holiday shone a light on it, not to say that it stopped, but now people know what's really going on in these southern towns. And Billie Holiday, because she was so revolutionary, she was under heavy government surveillance. She was under surveillance by the FBI. A lot of times she got denied a license to perform. She was harassed. She was arrested. She had a hard life. And she died penniless at the age of 44. And she was a huge star who should have not died that way, but she did, because she just wanted to speak her truth and talk about what was going on in this country and how unfair it was. I remember probably a couple of years back, there was a photo exhibit of Billie Holiday at the Newark Museum. And there were mostly very personal photos of her, maybe 5 or 7 years before she died. And the thing that struck me about her life, because I've known about Lady Day, but the thing that struck me about her that I did not know was, I did not know she negotiated her contracts with the white men. And when you think about that, at that time in this country, for a woman, let alone a Black woman, to be negotiating any kind of contracts was unheard of. And she negotiated her contracts. I mean, after all, she had been through so much already. By the time she got to be an adult, she really didn't have any reason to be afraid. But think about it, the audacity of a Black woman to want to earn a living as a singer in 1930s. Even if she was in New York, but it was still hard. And she said, no, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to sing my songs. I'm going to sing the way that I want to. Excuse me, she didn't sing songs. She sung emotions. She sung feelings. But she said, I'm going to do it my way, and I am going to ask for what I want. And she did. And that in itself is so amazing to me, because even though I'm in a much more modern time and I don't face any of the challenges or have never faced any of the physical challenges that Billie Holiday faced, I find myself sometimes hesitating. And when I hesitate, I think about what Lady Day would do, what she has done, and then I move myself forward. So Lady Day she's everything to me. She's everything to me. She definitely helps me to push myself forward entrepreneurially when I'm afraid. The next woman I want to talk about is Cardi B. Cardi B is from the Bronx. She was born October 11th, 1992. And I love Cardi B. I'm also from the Bronx too. And she is just radically unfiltered, whole truth, nothing but the truth. It's not prettied up. She tells it like it is. And I love that about her. And the thing about her that I love too is that she used social media to create this community for the regular, degular girl from the Bronx, because that's what I am. I'm just a regular, degular girl from the Bronx. And so is Cardi B. And she did not believe her circumstances. That is what's so impressive. That's another thing that's very impressive to me, is she was a regular, degular girl. She was in a physically abusive relationship, and she just said, you know what, I'm gonna strip so I can have my own money. Now, some people have said that's not the right way to do things, and Cardi has tried to do things the right way. She worked in a little store in Tribeca. She went to college. She took a couple of classes, and things, just didn't work out for her doing the right thing. She also got married, had children, doing the right thing, and those things didn't work out for her. It's because she listens to her own self. And people judge her for her mistakes, but I feel like, you know what? We all have made mistakes in our life. Nobody is perfect, and it's very brave to put yourself out there for people to judge you and to still move like, I don't care, I'm going to live my dream life. And she's living her dream life. I mean, I have not known any strippers, but I've known women that have been in domestic violence situations, and I can tell you, their body language just says, this is it. I have no way out, and this is my life. And Cardi B looked at her life and said, no, I have more. Another thing that's impressive about Cardi B is, she was a stripper. She was doing her videos on Vine and Instagram, and Mona Scott found her to put her on Love and Hip Hop. It wasn't Cardi reaching out, trying to be on TV. Mona Scott reached out, and there she was on Love and Hip Hop. And that's when I first saw her. And I saw her, I think it was a reunion show where I forgot the gentleman's name, but he was messing around with two women at the same time, and they were both in love with him, and they had children for him. And Cardi said so eloquently, she said, this is why I use men like you, because you got these two women out here looking stupid because you don't want to be honest, and I use men like you. And when I heard her say that, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not saying exactly what she's saying, but I was like, she's right. She's right. And I'm not trying to go and bash men, because I also feel like what happened to him in his young life to think that that behavior is appropriate. What did he see? So I'm not here to bash men, but I am here to really shine a light on Cardi B's brilliance and just living her truth. And it's her truth. I mean, her first song, Bodak Yellow, I mean, some of the lines or the rhymes, maybe I'll call it rhymes or bars, are so powerful. Like when she says, I don't gotta dance, I make money moves. Like, that's brilliant. That's so brilliant, because that's what she does, and that's what she has been doing. And there's another line in her song, on the same song, and she talks about, you're going to the club just to party, and I'm going because I'm getting paid a fee. It's so powerful how a regular, degular girl from the Bronx just changed everything. And I find myself sometimes, like when I have an entrepreneurial dilemma or I feel like I can't do something, I say like, what would Cardi do? And I just go and do it. So those are the three women that I feel like are the most impactful for me. These three women are the embodiment of Black womanhood. They're they all told their truth, their radical truth, like unfiltered truth, with nothing fixed up, just truth. And their goals, all three of those women had simple goals. They just wanted to tell the truth and live freely, how they want to live. And that's what I love about all of these women. And for me, just a little bit of background about me. I am from the Bronx, as I said earlier. I am one of 5 siblings. My dad is from Trinidad and my mom is from Charleston, South Carolina. And I grew up in the Bronx in Lambert houses. And for me, hip hop was and is something that has shaped my entire life. It was the first time in my life when I first heard hip hop, and I talk about this in my intro, but the first time I heard hip hop, I don't know, I was probably 13 or 14. I could have been younger. I don't remember the exact date because I'm 60 years old. But I remember seeing the young guys, the boys, the teenage boys, like moving turntables, crates of records and speakers. Some of them were bigger than the boys. And I was like, ooh, something's happening. And then the first time I heard a needle drop on a record and just bass exploded, I was like, oh my God. And I knew something great was gonna happen. And then hearing the MC talk and hype up the crowd. And I remember like going to parties, or we used to call them jams, going to parties, and we would be so close to the DJ. Like now when you go to parties, you can't even get close to the DJ, but we would be so close to the DJ, like you can actually see like when he's gonna, change the record, exactly where the groove is on the record to catch the beat. It was impressive. And then, once MCing started becoming very popular and you would have, mostly men, there were women, but mostly men like singing, like rapping into the mic, and it was so powerful. And I just remember thinking like, this is great. And back then, I thought rap, hip hop music was just gonna be a happy childhood memory. I had no idea the change that was about to happen, that I was actually a part of, that I saw before it hit the airwaves. So thank you for listening to the Hip Hop Mind. I hope you enjoy it and you come back. Thank you.